Welcome to the ESL sentence meeting for Accuplacer. My name is Margaret, and I work with the Writing, Reading, Speech Assistance area here in the Learning Commons. And this, Gam did not know this, and so maybe Frishta and Bavik don't, right? Bavik? Don't know as well, but the Learning Commons here is a one-stop academic shop here to help you with any needs that you have here while you're at COD. It's free to all COD students. My area can help you in writing, reading, speech, or even conversation. If you'd like to come in, you can come up to 3 times a week, and we can just sit and talk to you in English and just learn about one another and try and improve where we are in that area. So I'm happy to show you all how to register before you leave if you're interested in coming back. If after today's session you feel like I still have some questions and I don't feel ready to take the test, you can make a one-on-one appointment with us and we will work with you on many more examples to try and get you to feel more confident. Today's test, or today's session, I'll do my best to inform you what's on the test. It won't be a teaching workshop, but our goal is to help you get in there so that and not be surprised, right? So you understand the format and what to expect that day. We're happy to teach you more in the one-on-one sessions if that's what you need, okay? So I will presume then that those of you who are here, I just want to not waste your time. English is not your first language, and you have taken 6 years or less of school in the United States. Fair to say? Have you taken 6 years or less of school? Yeah, okay, good. So then you're all in the right spot, okay? So excellent. Okay, so let's move on then. The purpose of the sentence meaning test is a little bit different than the reading test. It measures how well you understand English. Do you understand the meaning of English words, is what it wants to know. It assesses the understanding and then it determines the right class you should be in. Okay, similar to the reading test. It's not pass-fail, it's, hey, this is what Frishta got on the test. What is the appropriate class to put her in? Because we don't want you in too hard of a class or too easy of a class. Okay? What to expect today? We'll give you some facts about the test and some hints. We'll go over the types of questions. We'll practice. And I'll share some resources similar to what I did in the reading one. Okay? All right, so facts about the test. It's web-based, so you'll use the computer. They're all untimed. Don't feel rushed. It's computer adaptive, which means it changes its questions based on how you answer the one before it. So it might ask a harder question if you answer a question correctly. Okay? 20 questions, multiple choice format.
It's just here.
And you will get immediate score results. Before you take the test, this is what we suggest, and this is actually on your handout. If you follow me along, you can see that this is on your handout to take with you. We ask that you consider taking tests on the different days. So group 1 is ESL reading and sentence meaning. We suggest you take that on one day and then the other group. Okay? Bring your photo ID and student ID number and allow for extra time. Don't go to the testing center at the end of the day, like 7 o'clock-ish. They want to give you plenty of time to take the test. So you might want to phone them and find out their hours to make sure that you have enough time to take the test. They do not give you scratch paper, but we recommend you ask for it for all 4 tests. Okay, you saw a really good way to use it during the reading one. I'm going to show you some ways to use it for this one as well. All right? And then you just go to the testing center's website for hours and locations. There are 2 types of questions on the sentence meaning, but they're a little different than the reading one, okay? The first type is fill in the blank. And it looks like this. Before class started, we blank lunch. So that's a fill in the blank test type question. The second one is called a closed-ended question, and it looks like this. Most grocery stores and almost all bakeries sell cakes. Where should someone shop for a cake? It's a closed-ended question. In other words, you're not filling anything in like this one. All right, but they are all testing your understanding of English words. Okay, so do you guys know this answer? Most words, yeah? Okay, good. Where should someone go to buy a cake? A is a bakery. That's what it's looking for. Do you know the difference between a bakery, a boutique, a delicatessen, and a flower shop? So, what this test does though, is it really wants to make sure that you understand 4 content areas. And we'll go over each of these one by one. Okay, this articles, prepositions, phrasal verbs, connectives, adverbs and adjectives, idioms, and nouns and verbs. They want to know if you understand the content of these types of English words. So, let's start with number 1, and the use of articles. You may recall from past education that in our language, our 3 articles are a, an, and the. Correct? Okay. They are always used before a noun to give information. Right? So here they are up there. The is used for a specific noun, but a and an are not. Okay? And you recall you use a and an differently, right? An is used when what comes next? Do you remember? What is it? It depends on the sound, the beginning sound of the next word, right? If it's a consonant sound, you use this. If it's a vowel sound, you use this, right? So let's take a look. Oh, well, we'll find an example in a second. The second type of content area test is prepositions. Okay? Prepositions show location, time, or a relationship. So, here's an example. On Saturday night, he drove with his sister to Milwaukee. One of these words shows location, to Milwaukee. One of these words shows time, on Saturday night. And one of these words shows a relationship, with his sister. Those are all prepositions, right? And this is also on your handout, so if you're following along and want to write down notes, you can do that as well. The third type of content that is in this first example is this idea of phrasal verbs. This is when a verb, as a reminder, is paired with one of those prepositions. And it changes the meaning of the verb. So we've got a verb, and it's paired with the preposition, and when it gets paired with the preposition, it changes the meaning. So, it's very informal language, and I'm sure it's one of the most confusing things that non-native speakers have to, like I used a phrasal verb in the first workshop, in the first session. I talk about, and I thought to myself, I'm using a phrasal verb they might not understand. Tip-off. I said, according to the passage, is a tip-off that it's a literal question. Tip is a verb, off is a preposition. Tip-off means clue. But in my mind, I'm like, I just used a phrasal verb, and that might be confusing, right? So here's some examples. Sally showed up to the party. Showed is the verb, up is the preposition. Together they make a phrasal verb. Showed up means that she arrived. Right? The prisoners broke out of jail when the guards weren't looking. Broke is a verb, out is a preposition. Together they make a phrasal verb. And what does broke out mean? They escaped. Yes. So you remember phrasal verbs, I'm sure. They want to know if you understand the meaning of phrasal verbs. That's really what they want to know. Okay? Second content area. First, wants to make sure you understand words that are connectives. What do we mean by that? Those are words that connect 2 different ideas or sentences. Have you all heard or remember this idea of fanboys? Nod your head if you have. Fanboys, nod your head no if you haven't. You have to nod one way or the other. Gentlemen, you're not nodding. Fanboys? Okay, fanboys is actually the beginning sound of this. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Those are connectives, and we use them, we try this trick. We call it fanboys. When a fanboy's word connects two complete sentences, that's a connective. Okay? Sometimes, however, you don't have fanboys being connectives. You have non-fanboy words, like when, if, since, otherwise, therefore, right? And there's a whole list of those at the bottom of your handout that you might want to refer to, okay? You don't use a comma during this when you use the non-fanboys. These require a comma, these do not, when they're connecting two complete sentences, okay? Again, we're in sentence meaning, guys. They're testing whether or not you understand the meaning of the connectives. Later on when we go to language use, which is the third session we'll do today, they want to know if you know which one gets a comma and which one doesn't. That's not in this test yet. Make sense? Okay? But as a clue, this one gets a comma, this one doesn't. Think fanboys, comma. Okay? Only when they're connecting two complete sentences, though. Two complete ideas. Here's some examples. We arrived on time, so we got a window seat.
Why have you got the comma here?
Here's why. If I cover the connective, is the first part of the sentence a full sentence or idea? We arrived on time?
Yeah.
Yes. Is the last part?
Yeah.
Yep. So if you hide the connective, and it still makes sense and is a complete thought, and you could put a period at the end of it, then you always put a comma. So this is a fanboys, and it happens to be the S of fanboys. But again, we're jumping to language use. What sentence meaning right now wants to know is, do you understand that so is the best word for this sentence? Okay? I went to the store because I needed milk. We don't have a fanboy there, so we don't put a comma. Okay? And because fits just fine there. All right, so we looked at connectives. Let's move on to adjectives and adverbs. As a reminder, guys, adjectives describe nouns. And adverbs describe all the other word types except nouns. Okay? So, if I had this sentence, the fast runner beat me because I ran slowly, you know that fast is describing the runner. So it's an adjective. The test wants to know if you can pick the right type of adjective, the one that makes sense. Sentence meaning. Okay? On my team, I was the slowest during the race. Right? Slowest is describing I, even though it comes after it. It's an adjective describing I. Now, if you look on your handout, you see, when it comes to this adjectives and adverbs, that you use this EST for adjectives when you are comparing 3 or more things. Do you all remember that from the past? You would use ER when you're comparing only 2 things. Because this is talking about the team, we can guess that there's more than 3 people on the team. So for sentence meaning, if they throw in an EST or an ER, remember in your mind that adjectives that end in ER are only comparing 2 things. Adjectives that end in EST are comparing 3 or more things. So be sure to follow that bar I showed you there. Okay, we deliberately picked that example so that you would see that. That would be something you'd see on the sentence meaning test. They're talking about the team, so that's more than 2 people. So it would need to be an EST. Adverbs, as I said before, describe all the other word types except nouns. The fast runner beat me because I slowly ran. How did I run? Slowly. So it's describing ran. Okay? So that is an adverb. The team that ran faster won the track meet. Okay? Again, we have got an adverb there as well. All right? Let's move on here. Oh, this is just a review here. Use ER or the words more or less when you're comparing two things, and use EST or the words most or least when you're comparing three or more. Okay? Raise your hand if that's new information or a good review. Good review. For me too, to be honest. Okay? Okay, third content area, idioms. Idioms can be very confusing because they're non-literal language and we use them all the time in American culture. We apologize. I don't know why we do. It's just how I was raised. But yes, they're very, very confusing, right? They're meaningless and can be quite confusing. But sentence meaning Accuplacer wants to know if you understand them, right? So, he missed school because he felt under the weather. Well, he wasn't really under a rain cloud. He was sick. It's just the expression we use. Under the weather means sick. I don't know why. It's just what we do, right? Joe loves flying, but it's not my cup of tea. What does that mean, Gam?
Flying is not mine. I don't like flying.
It's not my preference, right? It's not what I prefer, right? So that's what they're looking for in idioms, okay? And actually, under the idiom help are some great links that you could go to if you want to practice more, okay? There's 3 websites under there that, are specific to idioms. Nouns and verbs. Do you understand their meaning? The purpose is to help you determine your level of vocabulary, right? So, if you had a sentence that said, Bram Stoker wrote his classic horror novel Dracula in 1897. He was a famous, which noun? Author. You would have to look at the sentence and go, it's a writer. He wrote a book. Do painters write books? Do architects? Do authors? Or do artists? How well do you understand the meaning of the nouns in the sentence? That's what it wants to know. Okay, we know he wrote, we know it's a novel, so we know it's author. Okay, that'll be a very, very similar thing for verb. How well do you know the right verb to use within the sentence? Okay, so let's do a little bit of practicing. I wanted to study blank foreign language. This is one of those fill in the blank questions. And it's looking at the content of articles. So you guys know that one of these is not an article, right? Which one? There's only 3 articles in the English language. You can look on your handout for a clue. Go back to the section that says articles. We're on sentence meaning, we're on this one, and we're looking at articles. Here's the 3.
I don't know. Tom's been
So which one is can we
I don't
eliminate?
know if he heard anything from Princeton or not.
You guys can do it. I want you to use your handout to help you. Follow along. Find articles on your handout. So what are the articles? Read them for me. A and the. So of is not an answer choice. So we eliminate this one, guys, right? It's not even an answer choice. We can also eliminate another one because foreign starts with a consonant sound, right? So we can get rid of C. So we know it's either A or B. So the question becomes, is it a specific noun that we need to talk about using the word the? Or is it a general? I wanted to study the foreign language. Are they talking about French? Are they talking about German? Or is it just I want to study a foreign language? any foreign language.
It's a foreign language. right?
Yeah, it would be the general one. It would be the general one. The makes it more specific, like what foreign language are you talking? You mean the French language? Then you use the. All right? The professor called on Pedro at school. This is a closed question, which is one of those types of questions, and it is using a phrasal verb. It's got a verb and a preposition. Called on. What does that mean? You could take a guess and you could write it down on your scrap paper, and then you could see if one of your answer choices matches. What did the professor do? He called on Pedro. Well, did he like dial a phone number and call him?
No.
No. What does called on mean?
Ask him.
What do you think, called on? I'm going to call on you to answer this question. What do I want from you? Called on. Am I going to ask you to answer the question? Yeah? Let's see. Did he shout at Pedro?
No.
Did he ask Pedro a question? You said asked. Did he phone him? Did he visit him? So yes, B is the correct answer. Okay, so it's testing your sentence meaning when it comes to phrasal verbs. It's also testing your sentence meaning in this area. Here's a fill in the blank. After we saw the movie, we had a different opinion, and this is a preposition. About science fiction, at science fiction, for science fiction, towards science fiction. So this is where you could use your scratch paper too and kind of decide which feels right. You could write them each out with one of these here and go, this doesn't sound right, this sounds good. Now, I don't think any of you are Spanish speakers, but many of the Spanish students struggle with this one because they do use the word for science fiction in their country. That would be how they would formulate their sentences. But in America, you think it's about. I gotta vote for A. Everybody thinks A. Let's see. Doo-doo! Yeah. All right. Good. Excellent. Elena found a tomato that was much bigger than all the others in the garden. Now let's talk about this for a second. How did the tomato compare to all the others in the garden? This is testing your comparatives. So this chart right here that I spent some time on, take a good look. Now let me ask you, how many tomatoes do you think there are? Do you think there's more than 2?
Yes.
Yes, because they're talking about all the other tomatoes in the garden. So if there's more than 2, we want to look for
Yes.
or most least, right? So let's see. So you might kind of make yourself a note about that on scratch paper. This is talking about more than 2 things. It's comparing. I'm looking for most or EST. So bigger and all are the clues that tell me that. It was the smallest. It could be because it's an EST. It was not very large. It was larger than some. It was the largest. So one of these is wrong. You think it was the largest?
Yes,
Yes?
it was the largest.
We got a good group. Awesome. Okay, excellent. Fatima cuts wood, hammers nails, and tightens bolts. That's why her mom says she is a good, this is a fill in the blank that's testing your content area of nouns. How well do you understand the noun? Which is the best noun? Is she a gardener,
No.
builder, painter, or florist?
Children. B.
Builder, because we see that they cut wood, hammer nails, and tighten bolts. It's the best choice. Good job. Samantha sleeps late, leaves work early, and never does anything unless she absolutely has to. Okay? This is actually going to be testing the content area of adjective because it asks which best describes Samantha. So it's an adjective describing a noun, that is Samantha. What best describes her? Is she boring,
Lazy.
lazy, selfish, or tired?
B.
You think lazy is the best answer, and I would agree. Okay, excellent. Early for her dentist appointment, Beth killed time by looking in all the store windows on the block. Okay, so you tell me, Krista, which content area is this testing?
It's killed time because she had a lot of time she didn't know what to do.
And what do we call that, do you remember?
Phrase.
Phrasal verb, good, so killed time. Do you understand the meaning of killed time? Does it mean, what was Beth doing? Was she exercising, shopping, hunting, or waiting? Okay, there are two possible answers here. One is better than the other. You know she's not exercising, and you know she's not hunting, right? Okay, so she could be shopping or she could be waiting.
She said killed time.
But she's just looking in the store windows, right? So she's waiting, right? Good. So you understood the meaning of that phrasal verb. All right? One more. This is an idiom. This is a strange sort of informal example of language. When Joe ran for president, he won by a mile. Like, you don't really win by a mile, you know? So what does that mean? How many votes did Joe receive compared to the other candidate? So let's write on our paper. Do we think he won more? He won by a mile.
A lot.
He won by a lot, because a mile is very far, right? So which one is most like won by a lot? He received just enough?
No.
No. He received about the same?
No.
No. He received significantly more?
Yes.
Maybe. He received a few more.
No, see.
C. Good. Excellent. All right. So again, lots of really good resources on this handout at the end that you could use that would be of help to you. You can go to COD's webpage and find the writing, reading, and speech assistance area to schedule an appointment with us. It says schedule a face-to-face appointment here, and we can get you registered. Or you can just call us. I'm going to give you all a pen before you leave, and our phone number is on there. And you can call us, and we can get you registered as well that way. Okay? And if you want to come in for extra help, we can go ahead and do that. Okay? Are there any questions regarding this test? All right, well, if you think about any, you can ask me. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you an evaluation sheet for the first hour and ask you to fill that out. And then we're going to take a stretch, and we'll start in about 3 minutes with the third session. Does that sound okay? Which is language use and then listening. And are all of you staying for all three?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be right back. Let me give you an evaluation form.